Episode 327. At 2:03 a.m. on December 24th, Guild Tyrannical Ambition's chief Jiang Yu, along with the 4 top-tier experts who had accompanied him, were delivering their final greetings and well wishes to the Guild players still fighting on the front lines of the 10th server's pioneering battlefield. Jiang Yu and his team of 5 had come specifically to break the record. Their original goal was to salvage the reputation crisis currently facing Tyrannical Ambition. Yet, as events unfolded, they had not only managed to permanently neutralize the threat posed by Lord Grimm, but they had also successfully secured the dungeon record for One Line Gorge. This trip has been a resounding success. Jiang Yu and his team cleared the dungeon 3 times, but they never managed to top their very first run's record. Their mission was complete after 3 dungeons, yet they'd lingered until now. On one hand, they wanted to celebrate the victory with the 10th server players. On the other, they wanted to see if Lord Grimm was a man of his word, if he'd really leave their record untouched. Half an hour had passed since they'd left the dungeon, and the system messages remained silent. The group gradually began to relax. In the end, neither scenario came to pass. They didn't break their promise by shattering the record, nor did anyone rush to exploit a loophole and set some monstrous new record before them.
Alright, the 10th server is now truly in your hands.
Jiang Yu spoke earnestly to the 10th server's guild leader, Night Crossing Cold Pool, and new members like Ye Weiyang. The 4 who had come with him were also veteran core members of the Tyrannical Ambition Guild. Of course, the old server members who had come to pioneer the new territory knew who they were. The 4 veterans each paired off with a new member for a one-on-one chat, offering words of encouragement and support. Just as the group was getting along famously, a system message shot across the vast message channel like a meteor. The players of Tyrannical Ambition hadn't realized it at first. Only after the message had passed did they replay that fleeting string of text in their minds, and something felt off. Almost simultaneously, everyone in Tyrannical Ambition realized what had happened. In that instant, they all performed the same action, grabbing their mice to scroll back up the chat log, searching for that fleeting message that had already been buried. But in reality, it wasn't necessary. While Tyrannical Ambition's players might have been dazed and missed it, the 10th server was packed with players. Plenty of people saw that message, and plenty of them saw it clearly. Players who saw and understood the message had already started discussing it. The earlier flood of messages had caused the Tyrannical Ambition players to miss this crucial detail in their days, but now, every single message flooding the screen was discussing the very thing they were trying to find. That's right, a new record. The moment they saw those 3 words, the players of Tyrannical Ambition knew they hadn't been dazed or seeing things. In that instant, what flashed before their eyes was indeed a notification. A dungeon record had been shattered. What had been a warm and cheerful farewell party suddenly turned deathly silent. That's exactly it, dead silent. Though each person was just sitting before their computer, watching the events on their screen, they truly felt as if they were there, immersed in that very atmosphere. A sense of loss, of confusion, all manner of negative emotions spread through the network.
Who is it?
Jiang Yu suddenly asked, his voice thick with bitterness. Who? Isn't that obvious? If a record's been set, you can just check the leaderboards. Yet Jiang Yu acted as if he didn't know this, and didn't even bother to check. Why? Is he trying to avoid seeing a certain name? Jiang, you didn't look, but someone else did.
It's Misty Rain.
Even Night Crossing Cold Pool sounded uncertain as he spoke the name. But it's absolutely undeniably true. When he opened the dungeon rankings, he was already suspicious. So he checked it 3 times over. It really was the Misty Rain Pavilion. No mistake at all. As for Misty Rain, Jiang Yu was even less certain. Misty Rain Pavilion was indeed one of the guilds backed by a professional club, yet its name rarely appeared on the list of rivals that Tyrannical Ambition considered a true threat. Misty Rain Pavilion, its parent club, and the Misty Rain team are all rather peculiar entities. They're actually quite capable, but their competitive edge always seems to get overlooked. This seems to be related to their team's character, a character that appears to have been shaped by their star player. Misty Rain team's star player was a woman who loved watching all sorts of cheap, melodramatic TV shows and gossiping about every piece of celebrity news. Out of the 20 clubs and 20 teams in the league, Misty Rain is the only one with a female star player. Chu Yunshu's technical skill was top-notch. As the star player of her team, she was undoubtedly one of the league's elite greats. But compared to the male players, Chu Yunshu's performance always felt a bit soft. In drawn-out stalemates, his win rate was low, and the matches he lost often looked more like he was just letting the other guy win. He could have held on a little longer, but for some reason, he'd always just quietly concede defeat. It's hard to pin down these things about a person's character or temperament. So, the outside world most often explained her actions by simply saying, well, she is a female player, after all. Unlike traditional sports, esports doesn't involve direct, intense physical and athletic confrontation. This seems to offer a level playing field for both men and women. But perhaps women are naturally less drawn to such violent, cutthroat competition. That's why there are far fewer female pro gamers to begin with, and their skill level generally lags behind the men's. Chu Yunshu was a rare talent, a female player who'd reached the level of a top-tier god, yet because of this very reason, she was still seen as lacking true competitive edge. The star player defines the entire team's style and spirit. Misty Rain team was ultimately seen as lacking competitive edge, and their track record only served to prove it. After Chu Yunshu joined, Misty Rain team made the playoffs for 3 consecutive years. Yet no matter how brilliantly they performed in the regular season, they were always eliminated in the first round of the playoffs, and their defeats were downright ugly. It seemed Misty Rain team simply couldn't adapt to the harsher, more intense competition of the playoffs. The first time, you could chalk it up to a lack of playoff experience. But the second time, the third, you can't keep blaming it on inexperience forever, can you? The star player of Misty Rain team was branded with this label. The team was often overlooked, and so was its guild in the online game. Misty Rain's guild wasn't small, and it had plenty of skilled players. Yet, in many competitions, they never truly stood out. They'd either make a brief, fleeting appearance or not show up at all. Soft, too soft. That's how many people saw Misty Rain. And that view seemed to fit their team and their star player Chu Yunshu just as well. But Chu Yunshu is a girl after all. If she's a bit of a softie, well, that's something people can more or less understand. As for the Misty Rain Guild, it's supposed to be a proper, manly, large-scale guild, yet it ended up acting like a soft girl, which made a lot of people start looking down on it. Then there's tyrannical ambition. From its top boss to its pro team and its guild, it's the very definition of Glory's most unyielding iron-willed powerhouse. Yet its record was just shattered by that soft, gentle Misty Rain. Such a dramatic reversal of fortune. It's a bitter pill to swallow.